And tonight I'm having a chat to psychedelic hard rockers from Texas, Holy Death Trio. Cheers, guys, for joining me. We got John, and Trey in the middle. Cheers, boys.
Got it. Yep. Awesome, man.
Thanks for having us.
Massive pleasure, man. I'm really enjoying the riffs you guys have and the sound. And, I grew up with the sound of the 70s and the 80s, from my parents and everything as well, dude. So I absolutely love the sound, man. It's got those odes to like Black Sabbath, as you can probably see. I've got a little thing hanging over here somewhere. And, like bands like Jimi Hendrix, we kind of started my journey into the metal scene, starting out with those hard rock vibes. So massive shout out, guys. So first off, can I ask, have I got the sound right? How would you describe the sound and style of Holy Death Trio? Did I hit it on the head there, or?
Black Sabbath and Jimi Hendrix, that's pretty much it. It's a combination of, both of those, man. Some blues and, heavy riffs.
Yeah, heavy blues, heavy rock. Definitely you would put us in the category of kind of stoner rock. I wouldn't say we're too doom or stoner, but, we like the heavy sounds, the riffs, a lot of guitar solos. I'm big into Randy Rhoads and Jimi Hendrix, so I like guitar solos in this. So we're really trying to bring that. Trey's a punk rock drummer, so he brings an element that's just completely out of this world to it. Yeah.
Vintage power trio.
Yeah,
that's really cool, man. That's cool because we got a punk editor. He'll be stoked, man. Punk influences a lot, man. So can I ask, since we're talking about instruments, I want to go right back to journeys. I love talking about how things started. So can I ask one of you, Johns, who wants to start? Can you tell me a little bit about your journey, perhaps, John, over here, guitar, how you started your journey with guitars and then maybe led into vocals, and just a little bit about your beginnings and roots with that?
Yeah, well, my dad had a guitar in the bathroom, under a closet, and I always wanted to play it. And then eventually one year I just decided to pick up a guitar in 7th grade. And then, in guitar class, everybody's competitive and they're like, "Can you play Metallica?" Well, I can play one. And I'm like, well, fuck, I can play Enter Sandman. And it was just this battle of learning riffs. Then you go to high school and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, well, I can play Crazy Train, the solo." So then it was just constant trying to one-up each other. So I had no choice at that time to get good at guitar. And then eventually started bands, which crazy though, in high school, all the kids that thought they were the shit and would make fun of me for sucking at guitar, all work in the oil field and do not play guitar or don't do anything anymore. And I'm like, man, I was the only one who started a band. And they're always like, yeah, well, your band can't play like Randy Rhoads, so you're not going to be anything. Yeah, it's in guitar, it's competitive, man.
Yeah, that does sound very competitive. So what was your first guitar?
I had a Slammer by Hammer. It was
Slammer by Hammer.
What a cool name, man. Slammer by Hammer.
It was a Fender Stratocaster knockoff. It was all right. And then I got a Schecter, and with the Line 6 with insane mode, and I thought I was the shit with that.
Probably what the bird fretboard inlay thing.
Yeah, it did have that. Yeah. And then I got a Metal Zone pedal, and then eventually I just said, you know what, I'm gonna get a good guitar, and I got a Gibson Les Paul.
And that's what you're using now?
Yeah, that and a Gibson SG. Though I like the lighter feeling guitars, just Gibsons feel right for me.
So how did you?
Stratocasters, but they don't stay in tune. I just have to say that. Well, I can't pick them up.
So how did you pick up vocals, man? Because obviously you're a guitarist first.
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't think of myself as a singer. I had to get better. I played in a band called The Mumps with this guy Jesse from Day Eater. He's another band from here, and he would always be like, "Louder, sing louder, like this." And then eventually I took choir with him in college, and eventually nobody wanted to sing, so I had to sing. I don't think of myself as a singer, but I had no choice, because if I don't sing, then we're just an instrumental band, and I don't really dig instrumental bands too much. I just feel like it's too easy to do that, so I had no choice but to step up and do it.
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of vocalists and singers that are in the same position as you. They're like, "Oh, I don't consider myself a singer, but I was the only one willing to do it." And there's been so many bands like yourself, and especially big successful bands, that the singer's like, "Man, I wasn't originally a singer, but no one else would be doing it for me, dude." So we come in and, and being a guitarist, sitting at home as well playing, you'd be writing songs down as well at the same time.
Yeah, I want to find like an Aussie or some crazy person or Iggy Pop to sing for our band, but we haven't been able to find that person.
No, I think you're doing a good job, mate. Keep doing what you're doing.
Right on.
So Trey, can we move along to you, man? Can I ask about drums, man? A little bit of how you started drums.
Kind of the same thing with John. My dad brought home a drum set for himself, I guess as a midlife crisis or something. Or my dad put it like, hey, it's a father and son kind of thing. Well, he never played it. I picked it up, and I was probably 5 years old at the time. And I just kind of carried it on ever since. Did the whole marching band thing in high school. That's just what you do if you're a drummer at a young age, I guess. I don't know. First bands, I was into like hardcore, like in punk and stuff like that. So the last band I was in, I was really, it was heavily influenced by like a strong angsty punk rock background. But I don't know, Rosales hit me up one day and, you know, he was asking me, you know, maybe we could jam or something, and just kind of came through. But as far as the drumming goes, I mean, it's just always been in my blood, always been in my system. I tried to stop once and it didn't work. So,
yep.
Yeah.
So you're mentioning, like, I'm guessing Johnny was talking about Metallica, as obviously some of that thrash metal around that time was his influences, but you mentioned punk. What was kind of like those early influences and inspirations for you, man, that kind of inspired you at the time?
Man, back then, I mean, I was listening to a lot of Rancid.
Ruby Soho. That's right, man, that reggae beat, dude.
Living In?
Yeah, Aussies, man. I've seen them. Dope band, bro. Dope band. I've seen them a handful of times.
Yeah, Living In, I think they're from your neck of the woods.
Yeah, they are.
Alkaline Trio, definitely. They're a strong influence still to this day for me. Just as far as his singing and songwriting and stuff like that, and the drums, just so tasteful. I pick up on certain things like that. But, you know, don't be fooled. Some of my favorite drummers are like jazz drummers and funk drummers and stuff like that. And that might, as you listen to some singles we might release in the future that we've recorded, some of our material is kind of funk and blues based, especially with John over here. Man, he just lays it down in that pocket and we just lock in and just like, you know, holy crap, you never think this guy's a punk drummer, but, you know, he's laying down the funk buster, you know? So...
Yeah, well, you can't go past jazz and funk, and I've found the older I get, the more I've appreciated music like that. Like, I sit back and I can crank jazz, like, for hours, man. It's really cool. Yeah. And you can pick up these inspirations with bands like yourself, that funk and jazz influences as well.
It's good to appreciate all kinds of music and, you know, not just focus on, no, I played stoner or metal music, whatever. You know, I'm just kind of all over the board.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, you know.
I think people get stuck up too much on that metal elitism or rock elitism. And, you know, you can't just listen to one thing. I'm a mad metalhead. I love heavy metal, but I can't listen to heavy metal all the time. I love hard rock, rock and roll, folk, funk, jazz, blues. If it's good, I'll play it. You know, that's the way it is. And John, can I talk about you with bass, man? Because you're probably one of the coolest dudes on bass, man. I've watched through that for sure.
I was maybe like 11 or 12, and I grew up on this little island off the coast of Texas, and I was just like a surf and a skate kid. And then my mom, and she wanted me to play an instrument, and I thought it was whack because I didn't have time. I was just skating and surfing all the time. And then, so I decided I wanted a drum set, and then that was too loud. So I said, fuck it, I'll play bass, but everyone plays guitar. And my mom was like a big time like dancer and always in the clubs back in the day. So I was always
dancing.
Not a stripper, but just a dancer.
Yeah.
Maybe she was. I don't know. Who am I to judge?
Need to be drunk.
Yeah,
but she was just always had bands like Al Green, Earth, Wind and Fire. I grew up on funk, soul, a lot of old Motown stuff.
Hell yeah.
Sly and the Family Stone. And one day the bass was just in the corner and I just picked it up and I met a buddy who played drums who I skated with, and then me and him played for like 7 years together until I eventually moved to Corpus and met this guy through a Craigslist ad. And then
Yeah.
here we are, man. I don't know how many years later. So,
Yep. So do you,
sorry, go ahead.
do you remember your first bass, John?
It was called a Johnson. And it
I love first instruments. I always ask them to laugh about the names for sure.
It was a big old 30-pound piece of crap.
Yeah, so what do you got?
30-pound Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah, just like everyone, you know, as you get better, you start upgrading your instruments, and they get just better quality. I think like anything, you know, the more you do it, the higher up, the better you get, and the better your equipment needs to get.
Yeah. So that being said, what are you using now?
Right now, I finally broke down and got a 1994 Fender Jazz, like the Geddy Lee edition. So I've been rocking that. A bunch of the guys I grew up watching play and listening to always played the Fender Jazz. So it's a must-have. And then I use like an 810, just like every other loud bass player. And it's just a tonic wall of sound, man.
Yeah, and your style, you're not using the pick, man. I was watching the bassist from Creator also does that, dude. The finger tapping and that. It looks so bloody cool, man.
I do a lot of like double thumbing.
Yeah.
Not so much slap, but like Larry Graham, Les Claypool, a lot of guys like that. It gives me the ability to play either pick style of music. Just so much more diverse, you know, versus using a pick. That's for guitar players, man.
That was cool when you mentioned Les Claypool, because I did get that kind of Primus vibes to one of your tracks I was listening to, man. Just the initial start, I was like, this is cool, man. And then it goes in a totally different direction. It's just such a great sound for me. It was like really cool to come across you guys. And I think I switched straight into the live stream and watched that one.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It was really cool to watch, man. But can I go right back and ask a little bit about around 2016, or kind of the story behind the formation of Holy Death Trio?
Yeah. You want me to start it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so the Craigslist ad happened. I didn't put out the Craigslist ad, just so you know. A friend of mine was buying some acid, and I was selling it at the time. I do not do that anymore. And I met up to sell it to him, and he was like, hey, do you want to come to a jam? And I was like, yeah, fuck it. And I showed up, and then he's just like, everybody, here's free acid. And nobody wanted to take it except for him. So it was just a weird jam thing that went on.
There was like 8 people there.
Yeah, there were so many people.
2 drummers, a bunch of guitar players, and I was only like bass player.
Yeah.
And I just remember I didn't know if I was gonna get raped. I was like, man, this is kind of sketchy. All these dudes.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the one that I saw you guys in the parking lot or something like that?
No, that eventually turned to that. Yeah, I think actually John brought a gun to the first.
Yeah, I did, because I didn't know what was gonna happen.
He was worried.
Texas, man.
Yeah.
People carry guns.
Yeah.
But,
Open carry.
Yeah.
So there was like, we met through that, and then
we would do random jams every first Friday at this park and in like a parking lot, and then eventually like one jam session, the main guy didn't show up, and it was just me, John, and another drummer, and we're like, damn, this sounds good. Let's start a band. And we started jamming, playing shows, and then eventually over time I think we were doing a little too much, like a lot of funky stuff, some
way more funky,
jazzy, but then we did the stoner rock too, and realized the crowd was really digging that. So I was like, you know what? Let's like rebrand the band and do the heavy rocking stuff and just go in that direction. I feel like we'd have more luck. And then we renamed the band Holy Death Trio, and literally last year in October was when it really hit. We found him, and then we just took off the way we're going now.
Yeah, and that was the debut single, the official debut single, Witch Doctor, which is a really, really cool track. The demo come out in 2016 around that time. What was it like laying down those couple of tracks as a demo originally, man, getting in there and doing those ones?
It was a madhouse, man.
Yeah.
I think, was that after the wreck?
Yeah.
I got in a gnarly motorcycle wreck, and I was out of it for a long time. So we had just kind of came back, gotten back in the mix, and then our drummer down there was only available for like a few hours that day. So it was real tight, and just kind of got in there, recorded something, and then got out.
It was really rough.
No metronome.
Just
jam,
go.
You know,
And I recorded it myself. I just borrowed some gear from somebody, put it all together. We just recorded it in the room. Then I got somebody else to mix it. yeah, it was a good little push. It helped us get music out there so we can get shows. And I think that's one thing that some bands should really focus on is like whatever you got to do to get your first demos out. We're actually about to release a new single, which is
I know, Bad Vibrations.
Yeah. So I don't know if you listened to the older version and the newer one, but just because you release it doesn't mean you can't redo it and have it better. Like, I think you should get your music out so you can start getting shows and all that. And now we are actually able to save up money and go with a really legit producer, and I'm really happy where we're at with our
Yeah, well, that being said, what was it like this time around with Bad Vibrations? You know, that 2016, you rush this out, but Bad Vibrations has a really cool sound, and so does Witch Doctor. You know, what's all this been like?
Anyone want to talk about Charles?
Well, for me, the recording process, I mean, probably it was a way different from when they first originally did that song. Before I met these guys, I was strictly a session drummer. I was just live, touring, recording studio, anything like that. Just only sessions. So studio was kind of like my niche at that point. But going into this and recording everything, you know, adding percussion here and there, really rounded out the sound for this song too. So as we came together, we collaborated on, you know, different ideas. We can speed it up, slow it down in the mix of the song and stuff like that, adding dynamic, you know, here and there, and then just coming together cohesively. It was just awesome. Yeah, it was awesome.
And the engineer we got, he originally worked at Sonic Ranch Studios near El Paso for like, I want to say like 10 years. And when you look at his like discography, it's like everything.
God. His roster.
Dropkick Murphys.
Do you want to give him a shout out?
Yeah, if you look at his roster, you would see like you would have to turn the page a couple of times to look at all the badass artists that he has worked with, and we felt so lucky to, you know, work with somebody like that dug our tunes, that wanted to work with us and make us actually a better band too.
Yeah, he really worked with us even financially. I'll let you know, it's hard for some people. You know, we all have our worth as humans, you know, and he kind of didn't belittle himself, but he went down on the price, which helped us out, man. You know, as he could easily charge a lot more money, you know, still get business, but he's just helping out bands in Austin.
Yeah, and he recently had an album on the #1 Billboard charts in like country and rock with Whiskey Myers, which is like insane. And his name's Charles Godfrey, and he's called
Scary American Studios.
Yeah, he just opened a studio up in Austin.
Great guy, man.
Yeah, we're really happy
to work with
him.
too. Super easy, mellow.
And that's what, when you were talking about demos, you know, get out there, get your demo out, no matter what you're doing, bands, because when you do get that first demo out, you make a step up and you work with a decent producer and engineer, like you're just saying, you already kind of roughly know what you want to do as well, and you aren't going to mess around the studio. And then when you have someone else putting that creative input, especially someone of that caliber and experience, you're like, yeah, this is cool. And they're not saying it out of a negative place, and actually lifts you guys up as well.
Yeah, they're not just trying to make money, because there's engineers that are like, oh yeah, I like your band, and then they suck, and they're like, yeah, you know, and whatever a song, and then you get the record back, and you're like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
You know, he really knew what he was doing, and it's not, it's hard to find somebody that's good, but I feel like the universe will bring it to you if you want to find the right guy. Don't just let somebody come to you at a show and be like, yo, I record bands, because a lot of times.
No, that was definitely the right place, right time with Charles. Not only that, you know, I'm a picky ass drummer. Like, I'm sure a lot of other drummers can say that too, but Charles is actually the drummer himself, which, you know, he fine-tuned like each of one of my drums like to a certain pitch for the song. He just gave what the song needed and added that little, you know, fairy dust of awesomeness to whatever it needed. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Bad Vibrations. It's coming out October 9th. Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys approach songwriting and things like that?
Okay, it goes different ways, but a lot of times we'll maybe jam an idea and it works, and then I'll remember it, and usually I'll go to GarageBand or Logic and just put a random drum beat behind it and come up with a structure and be like
a hook.
Yeah, just have it worked out, send it to them, and then we'll get back in there and we'll rework on it, and it'll be like, okay, this is cool. And then Trey usually throws out, yo, we should do a gallop here or some shit, or some stupid idea, and we just keep trying to push it. When solos come, let's all do our own little jam and take the solo somewhere, not just leave it stagnant. Anywhere we can improve, yeah.
The best songwriting experience for us typically goes at the very beginning of practice. Because you're like, what do you want to do? You want to do this song?
Sometimes it's good just to jam.
So we always start our practice or jam session or whatever with, a certain jam. We're like, hey man, I got this idea I've been working on last week. We'll riff it out. It's like, man, listen to this. This is what I got. So we all put our ideas together, pretty much straightforward at the very beginning of practice, because that's when I think it's when the best time to introduce that kind of stuff is right before practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely helps having all three people creatively pushing and inspiring the band as well. It must be good with all three of you guys going, oh yeah, do this and do that and putting more kick, and that must be really good, because I've talked to some bands and they've had troubles with that as well. Going, we've gone through a couple of member changes because a few people aren't putting in as much in the band, or like you mentioned, can only play a certain amount of time or a couple of hours, and you can only get them 3 days a month or something like that. So it does make it hard to push forward with the band in that kind of time.
Yeah, definitely, man, for sure.
And surprisingly, a lot of people don't know how to improv, from what I've heard. I've been in conversations with people like, do you know how to improv? And I'm like, yeah, I have an idea or a scale, and I'll just make sure we're in the right key. Cool. And I'll do my thing. And they're like, I just don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, man,
that's a big thing. Not a lot of people do just jam. I don't know. As a bass player, I get called for blues and funk gigs sometimes. And it's like, sometimes they just call the song right before you play it on stage. Yeah. They just tell you what key it's in. So you just got to be able to jam, man. It comes out good, not all the time, but we all naturally have creative input, even if it's just like one riff. Usually someone else will know where to go from there. And then if we all three put our input in on one song, there's usually 3 different parts to that, just, off that.
Yep. Yeah. We always put in our own input on songwriting and stuff. So.
Yeah, it comes out really, really well, and I do enjoy the sound you guys have got going. So I'm going to ask it, man. I suppose it's been asked a lot, man, COVID and fucking fuck 2020 and the rest of the shit with gigs and that. But well, how's it going over your way? Is there any chance, have you got some small shows planned? Because I know we're starting to open up, but it's hard though, And I've seen the live stream. It's a matter of getting support as well. You can put on these live streams. I want to talk about that too. You can put on the live streams, but you also got to get support as well. It's a little more than just clicking a like and subscribe on Spotify. It's about pre-ordering albums and buying merch and things like that as well.
Yeah, definitely. The good thing about Austin is it's kind of a tight-knit community for how big the scene is here. Yeah, a lot of the bands, we try to support each other. And that's just what it all comes down to, man.
Support your friends, go to their shows, if they post something, comment, an emoji, whatever.
Share it, anything.
That's what I find. A lot of the bands like yourselves are the ones that are holding up the scene, like me, like you guys. We're buying merch, and a lot of people in the underground scene are really committed to buying merch and supporting the scene. You know what I mean? Probably more so, like was talking to someone, like more so definitely than DJs and people that are listening to pop music and that. Metalheads and people in the underground independent scenes are more likely to go, look, I'll jump over and support my community and bands from my area as well.
Yeah. And we've been pretty lucky to be able to get a couple of shows. There's a venue in Austin called Far Out that's outdoors. There's tables spread out, so there's plenty of seating, a lot of seating. So we've had a couple of shows there. Probably within the last 3 months, we played there twice, and it's been really nice. We really enjoy that place can give us a place, good sound, good everything, good lights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hospitality is great as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The social distancing, they follow all the guidelines. So, when you're out at your table, you're wearing a mask, of course, stuff like that. They've been super supportive of, what's going on. They're aware, obviously. But they don't forget about the fact of, what's actually happening in the world.
Yeah. And also, we didn't just say, oh, COVID, we're going to stop.
Yeah.
I think that's so ridiculous to just say, COVID, let's all stop doing what we're doing. No, y'all should be going there's more time ever to jam now. A lot of people don't have jobs, whatever. Just
and they're getting paid.
Just jam. So like,
and there's been great music. Like it's given me a chance for one to check out Holy Death Trio and so many other great bands. And no, you know, look, we can't go to gigs, but I can still support the scene. I can buy albums, and the fans of Holy Death Trio can do the same. And you mentioned about the gigs, and it's cool talking to like you guys, and you're just kind of saying, yeah, we're doing these smaller gigs, and that's cool to be able to play in front of people. And I had the exact same conversation with enslaved guitarist Ivor. We were talking about the same thing, and he's saying the same thing. It's just cool to be able to play to some people again. I don't care if they have to play in little boxes and we tell them move forward to their little square, you know. And it's one thing, we're all in this together all over the world. It's the one time in the time history that we have been together.
It's man, the networking, the community, and I think with the underground scene, it wouldn't survive if people weren't so in touch with each other and didn't support each other that much, because it's underground and it's hard, man. You know what I mean? It's not mainstream. So, I mean, there's a lot of just people out there just make it happen, man. Yeah.
Where's the best place we can get along and support Holy Death Trio? You've got a web page up there as well. Is that the best place to get along, by merch or?
Instagram is probably the best bet. That's what we update the most.
With our merch store.
Yeah, merch store. Well,
oh fuck! Today was Bandcamp Friday. Damn. We're supposed to make a post about that. It's all good. Right now we're actually shooting a music video. So I mean, like, this is the room. Tomorrow we're gonna have this huge party here.
Bad vibrations.
So we're pushing to put out some really serious content. We've slowed down. We're usually like consistently posting on our Instagram, but Instagram is where you can find our website and our link to be able to get merch.
And the latest and greatest of what we're doing right then in this very moment. Like, John was really on top of it. It was like posting live, stuff like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is our current, this is what we're looking at.
Definitely check out our Instagram as soon as you can, because we're shooting a music video tomorrow. We're having a crazy party. We're going to have a fuckload of people packed in here wearing masks. I mean,
I'll put the links in for that as well. I'll put in all the links for that as well.
We're going to do a house party scene, and man, we're really excited to actually put out a music video. And what's crazy is this video is paid for by the city of Austin. There was a grant for musicians that, like, if you were impacted at all during COVID, we applied, we got the money, so now we're putting it all into this music video, and we're super happy to be able to do this. Like,
we've been lucky.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Hear that, Australian government? Put on some film clips, dude. Support some.
Yeah, but Australian government, don't they like help support bands by like giving them resources to make music videos and record albums and all that? I've always heard Australian bands have like, I guess, support from. I don't know.
Not a great deal. You notice it more in these times, like these COVID times, like how much the governments don't really appreciate the arts sector, and music and live industries.
The biggest bands in the world are from Australia right now. Like, that is hands down.
Yeah, we've got a cool stoner rock scene here, and we've got some amazing, hard rock bands coming out of here, and the scene's really strong. We've got a really good stoner sludge rock scene. It's really, really cool, really strong too.
I feel like Australians and Texans get along.
We're
both badass,
outdoors,
bunch of dangerous shit.
Rattlesnakes.
That's how it is, man. Kind of in the same spectrum of people.
Yeah,
I agree.
Just badasses all around.
Definitely. Massive shout out, guys.
Question: are you by any chance into psychedelic porn crumpets?
I've heard of them.
Yeah,
I have heard of them.
Third one is Australian band I've really been digging lately, and it's just like blowing my mind, like what they've been putting out. And I'm just like curious if you can give us like a couple of bands from Australia that we should listen to.
Yeah,
definitely would take your advice.
Yeah, man. I'll get some links together and shoot them off to you.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'll be cool. We're going to sign out, man. Let you get your shit together for the rest of the night and chill out.
Awesome,
this has been a massive, massive pleasure. Before I do sign out, man, last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything I may have missed from you guys.
Check us out on Instagram at Holy Death Trio. Definitely shout out to our producer, Charles Godfrey from Scary American Studios. That guy's legit. Yeah. Oh, director Ben from Zanzibar Media. He's about to film a badass music video for us. I'm super happy to be working with this team. somehow attracted like an all-star team, like
Yeah.
VIP, MVP. Like we got a really good team behind us.
We got a good crew for sure.
Cool.
That's encouraging, because I know this is a matter of watch your space. I'll probably be talking to you guys a little later in the year, because I dare say there's going to be an EP or an album, something down the future.
Yeah.
This time you're going to be creating like hell. We'll talk about that next time, man. So massive.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you
dude.
very much.
Awesome. Have a good one, man.
Later, bro.
Australia.